Hey YouTube, coming at you with what I called a nerf team for the Great League Remix. And I did way better than I expected to, considering I have like kind of two issues with Steel and two issues with Psychic, which I'm going to go over how to deal with all those. And the main way to deal with it is get rid of Dragon Claw on Steelix and put on Crunch. So I ran Dragon Claw on Steelix, but I would run Crunch. But it was an all nerf team. Shadow Drafrig with Confusion and Psychic Fangs. Poliwrath with Icy Wind, and then Steelix with Psychic Fangs and Dragon Claw. But again, I would replace Dragon Claw with Crunch to give you actual some coverage here. But yeah, the team worked pretty well. Basically, it's Shadow Giraffe in neutral situations can actually just stay into a lot of stuff, even bad situations. The more I played with it, I don't know if I have a matchup in here against Shadow Magnezone. But against Shadow Magnezone, you can Confusion and Psychic Fangs down and take it out and shield up one move and it'll be taken out. So it's like it's like crazy how hard these Confusions hit. So let's take a look at some of these battles. I think early on, like I got out here, but of course they're gonna have an answer to a fighter. Like if I play this again, I probably stay in and just Confusion and Psychic Fangs. You'd be surprised how much those adds up on Steel, which is why the more I played with it, the better I got. So got the fall on the Scald. Yeah, I guess Scald also has a chance to lower your attack, right? So gonna get a second Scald here. This will not quite take out. Again, there's no reason for me to fight for switch because right now Steelix in the back against Steel is not great, especially without Crunch. So I am just gonna come in here. I'm gonna Confusion down, resisted. They're probably gonna come back in with the Empoleon, and now like I will just lower their defense and Confusion probably as much as I can because they're like, oh, I'm not going to shield. Oh, they do shield, right? So, but look how much these Confusions even resisted add up, right? So against Steels, you're not as bad as you think you should be. Like I'm now at a second Psychic Fangs. This will probably won't take it out, but I'll put in one Confusion range if they let it go. If not, they're in two Confusion range and I shield. I'll take this out. I keep switch. I can maybe get a Psychic Fangs off on whatever comes in here. And it is a Feraligatr, so I get another Psychic Fangs off, and now it's just instant Dragon Tail, Dragon Claw, or Psychic Fangs immediately for the win. Like, look at how much that chunks. One Hydra will not take me out, and now it's just as long as they outpace, which I should, because I made that switch pretty quick, I should take this out. So it was a really interesting team, and there's a lot of situations you get into yourself like, oh, I have no chance, and then it's like, oh, I do have a chance. So it's kind of fun for that perspective. Again, I'm going to stay in this matchup. Out comes Dedenne. I am going to chip as much as I can and then come in here. Again, Dedenne is electric and this fairy, so there is nothing that's going to hit a Steel here. Everything's resisted. So as long as I chunked it enough to get it just within resisted Dragon Tails but Psychic Fangs range, this works for me. So I could just Dragon Tail down at this point, just take all the resisted moves, come out with some energy. Unlikely. They're unlikely to come back in with a dragon because to a loaded Dragon Tail. And there's your Ferrothorn. And this is why I would run Crunch. There's a lot of Ferrothorns, and Ferrothorns is actually very tricky for Giraffe and Steelix. Obviously, with Poliwrath, it's a little tough, but the counters add up faster than the grass moves do, so you're actually good there. But yeah, I would definitely run Crunch on Steelix to give you more play into the Steels because there is a lot of Steels in this meta. Come in Poliwrath, and now they are double weak to counter user, so I don't even know if I'm going to leave. I probably just stay in. Okay, once I let that go, then I can come in here. Because basically what I'm going to do is just same thing. Lower the defense on... lower this defense so the counters really add up. And they'll try and get to two moves here. Again, Ferrothorn's a little tougher. But again, here is now resisted Confusions, resisted Psychic Fangs. And if they let this go, this is like in the red. So they have to shield. And then they give up because they're like, oh yeah, now I'm 2 times lowered with a counter user left. And they have to throw him energy. So good lead here. Feraligatr comes in. Again, I probably just chip this and then maybe come Poliwrath. They let it go, and now it's just an easy counter down. I can still come out with an Icy Wind for the Dragalge, and then we'll have to see what's in the back here. So get the full counter down. Dragalge comes in. It's an ice Jellicent. And again, this is why Confusion would be better. I may come... What do they have on the lead again? Dragalge. Oh yeah, so I'll probably come in with Giraffe just because the Shadow Ball's resisted, right? I'm half normal, half psychic, so it's single resisted. So I would not be surprised if I come in this knowing that I have a Steelix in the back for... I'll shield up a Surf because Giraffe is very, very, very glassy. But I shield up a Surf. I will lower the defense here because it is super effective because they're half psychic, half poison as well. Lower, come in here. Aqua Tail will chip, but not a ton. As long as I could take them out here, yeah, this game's over too. Superior. So where it gets tricky is against the bulkier Pokemon like this that know you can hit hard. And that's the problem with Shadow Giraffe. In a lot of shield scenarios, you're going to be able to take it very easily. But then there's like these bulky Pokemon that hit really hard that even if you... First of all, they lowered my attack times 2. So a huge advantage to them with this Leaf Tornado move here. But if you get in matchups like this with like a very, very bulky superior that also spams and hits really hard, Shadow Giraffe is going to have a huge problem. So Shadow Giraffe does best in situations where they're not super bulky Pokemon and you're hitting neutral in, where you can like just overpower the Confusions and Psychic Fangs. And then it gets tricky in situations like this where it's like, oh, you got a bulky Pokemon that can also one-shot you with Frenzy Plant. So able to do that and then get the Empoleon. So now I have no crunch here. And this is almost like... I don't think I switched it this matchup, but I definitely switched it when I used... I'll have Steelix again on another team because I think it's very strong. But yeah, so you will see crunch on Steelix moving forward. And if I had crunch, I probably would have won some of these matches that I lost, quite honestly. So keep that in mind for future use if you want to use this team. Or Shadow... Or like, yeah... So yeah, I got killed here. There's no point of doing anything besides losing here. Pidgeot, again, I'm most likely just to stay in, get the Psychic Fangs off. Again, Pidgeot's a tricky one, right? If they let this go, it's going to put it in the yellow. They will get to a Brave Bird Slash, and they gave up Switch, so that is interesting. So Steelix, again, okay in the matchup here just because it has a lot of bulk and it's spammy, and here comes a breaking... Yep, that makes way more sense, and I'm sure the comments have already noticed that. Someone in the comments before has said like, you make a lot of mistakes like that, but I think you do it just to like get engagement up. And I'm just like, that would be a good idea. Breaking Swipe is the move because everyone's like, it's not Dragon Claw's Breaking Swipe, and then I get a bunch of comments and it helps the algorithm. So moving forward, I will make more mistakes like that so I can increase the amount of people that comment on this. Quagsire, again, Quagsire, glassy. Not glassy, but kind of glassy as a shadow. So this will do a good amount of chunk. They have to shield. I lower their defense. It's now just like counter range. Stone Edge is resisted. If they have Aqua Tail, that's resisted. So everything is resisted here. I can probably just commit to the farm down and come out with energy. And I think that's exactly what's going to happen here. And that's exactly how I win that, man. Carbink. And again, here's the situation. Oh, I give up Switch here to come in Superior. See, now they got 2 Pokemon. And that's the problem. This is the fallback with this team if you're going to use it. So be aware. If your opponent is running a very bulky team that have hard hitting Pokemon and can just absorb a lot of stuff, this team will not do well. Right? Because right now, Shadow Giraffe is in a huge problem against these Pokemon. And now, freaking Carbink is going to have a shield advantage to take out the Giraffe and Steelix. So this is, a guarantee. I can see the loss coming from a mile away here. There's not much I can do. So, I don't know. Because I think if you... I don't mind like the Poliwrath Giraffe core. Because if you're going to be weak to... If Shadow Giraffe's going to be weak to Steels you can do that. At least you have a counter user, and then like Confusion's resisted by Dark, and if they're Dark, they'll be weak to counter unless it's like a Sableye, but then Sableye you resist the Claw, so that's okay there. So like it's kind of a interesting situation all there. I was trying to think if they're in the Ferrothorn, which is fits the bill just as well as the other two for a Pokemon that is absolutely going to kill this team. Is there a third Pokemon in this meta that can nerf stuff? It's got to be a Pokemon that has bulk, because Giraffe is very glassy. You need to use Shield on it. So you need some. Poliwrath has decent bulk. So is there a third Pokemon that has some bulk that can also potentially nerf, that can also potentially grab shields? And off the top of my head, I don't know what that is, because a lot of the top Pokemon in this meta, like you have Carbink, Mantine, and Mandibuzz as the top three, which are all very fit the bill, very bulky. So again, if you don't want to do straight nerf Pokemon, you can use not really any of these, because Carbink is basically the same as Steelix, and you don't have anything for steals. And then Mantine and Mandibuzz would make you double weak to Electric in the back with Poliwrath. So that is what makes it a little trickier. And then you get the glassy Pokemon for Alligator and Polion. Same electric weakness, but more glassy. Quagsire, Spammy, double weak to grass in the back. Annihilate, double weak to Flyer, double weak to Electric. Guzzlord, same basically as Steelix. Cresselia would make you double weak to Dark, because Giraffe is weak to Dark and you're weak to Dark. So in terms of Pidgeot would make you double weak to Electric and does not help your Steel issue. So there really isn't a third like nerf Pokemon that would fit the bill of what you need here. No, there really isn't. So honestly, pick a different third. Let me actually see what they would recommend if I were to run Shadow Giraffe with Confusion, Psychic Fangs. And they say Thunderbolt, which is probably the better move in this meta, quite honestly, with all the flyers. But I ran Trailblaze to give you some potential chance. I don't know why I ran Trailblaze. I think that's just what I had on it. And then I had Poliwrath as the second, and out comes, yes, your coverage is weak and your bulk is weak. That's why you need something bulky, and you need something for steel coverage. Steelix. That's so funny. Steelix is the #1 recommended Pokemon to make this team the best. And it's funny because I did not use PvPoke when I built this team. So the problem with this core, the problem with this core is everything they're recommending here faces the exact same issue that I've already gone over. Because your weakness is like Carbink, Mantine, Cresselia, Pelipper. So yes, Steelix answers the bill. They also recommend Carbink, but that leaves you the same issue. And then you get into like the Empoleons, which makes you double weak to Electric in the back. Pidgeot, double weak to Electric. Togedemaru doesn't really help you with so I guess the only problem would be the ground steel like Steelix, because Confusion on ground is still neutral. So it's just the ground steel and Steelix that would cause. So Togedemaru, interesting one. You're not weak to fighting anywhere else. Potentially. Toxapex, double weak to Electric. Magnezone, Mandibuzz, double weak to Electric, right? So everything with this pairing is going to have at least one weakness. So you either run this exact same team, since it's actually the recommended team. That's so funny. I can team build without having to go to PvPoke and just know what would work and not work. So yeah, maybe just make Crunch on Steelix, and then you'll have a better chance in this meta. Would be my only like thoughts here. Quagsire lead. If it was a shadow, this one would be way easier. A non-shadow makes it a little trickier, just because if it was a shadow, these Confusions and Psychic Fangs would chunk so much, as opposed to now where I'm still maybe gonna need another one. Could be Stone Edge. Stone Edge with one shot. Just a Mud Bomb. I'll live that, but they'll probably get to another one. I think at this point it's worth shielding and just farming and taking switch and coming out with energy, because it is Mud Bomb, so it's a little slower. So that's exactly what's going to happen. Down a shield, but this is sort of the scenario that you're fine with, right? Get a Confusion off, get a Psychic Fangs off. This will put it into the, like, or grab a shield, and now I have Steelix to align here. They come in Gligar, so worth interesting. I think what I'm doing here is forcing them just to jump all their energy, or I'm going to lower their, yeah. I think what I'm doing here is knowing that Steelix is going to kill Dragonair. I'm just forcing this to dump all their energy, knowing that the wing attack is resisted and they need to get a dig. So now that they're dry, puts me in a good advantage that they're only going to get to one dig. I'll respect the dig from this. This is at dig, but they're not going to, even if they bait, they're not going to get to 2. So they kind of have to throw. And then at this point, Dragon Tail lower their defense first, which is kind of a dumb move. I probably, with Breaking Swipe, I mean, they assume I probably have Crunch, but now I don't need to throw a move, and I'll live this and take this out. I mean, having Breaking Swipe in this instance, I probably should have thrown it because the recommended moveset is Psychic Fangs and Crunch, so people probably would not expect the Breaking Swipe, so I probably should have thrown it there. But again, lowering their defense and then just doing a super effective Dragon Tail is also fine. So that is the team. Like I said, worked way better than I thought it would, being like your double like issue against Steel. But yeah, I would put Crunch instead of Breaking Swipe, and then you can still do it again. If you do use this team and you play the draft, Ferrothorn's a little tricky on the lead, because it just has the bulk as a steal, but Magnezone, Empoleon, all those Pokemon are actually way glassier than you would I mean, you know they're glassy, but the Confusions and Psychic Fang combo on those steals do way more than you would expect them to. Like I said, I went against a Shadow Magnezone, and the Confusion Psychic Fang Confusion combo takes it out before they get to a second move. You have to shield one move, you take it out before you get to a second move. So it's kind of interesting from that perspective. Stuff like that is stuff that you would not like when you look at a team, and this is why you need to like play with a team actually to get used to it, and you can't just like blind copy a content creator's team, because there are stuff like that even I did not know would happen until you like in the moment and you're playing it, because you're thinking like, yeah, Confusion against Steel is gonna suck, but it's like, yes, it would against the bulky steals like Bastion and stuff, but those are banned, and a lot of people are running Shadow Magnum, Shadow Empoleon, which are very glassy, so you can actually do it. So just stuff like that where on paper you wouldn't think about it, but in action you kind of see like how it works. Anyways, we'll keep this Great League remix train going. I saw a couple submissions too, so I'm gonna check those out, because I got at least 5 more teams, 6 more teams, plus a couple submissions, but this is on all this week and all next week, and we're just gonna, it's a great league, right? So people like Great League, people like remixes. We are gonna spam these videos until you guys stop watching, but please don't stop watching. Anyways, that's it. Thanks for watching. See you guys in the next one.